Yo, so today I'm gonna be trying to make a drill beat for the first time. Alright, so I got myself a nice little UK drill drum kit downloaded. Just picked the first one off Google. I don't even know if it's good, but I think it'll work fine. But I think for the melody, I'm gonna go with like piano and then halftime it, and then do some strings and stuff, and maybe mess around with Fruity Slicer. I don't really know how this is gonna turn out, but yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start off with just a basic piano, the cinematic from Keyscape, and just kind of lay out a basic pattern. And normally for these kind of things, I would do third step, but usually with halftime, third step sounds a little weird, so I'm gonna stick to half step and then just kind of mess around and find something I like. Alright, so I think that's what we're going to do for like the bass of it. It's super simple and repetitive, but I'm going to try not to change the bass note because I have no clue how to do drill 808s. So I think if it's just a constant note, it'll be a little bit easier to figure out 808s. But yeah, just put this up an octave for some variation. That'll sound a little different in the halftime. But now I think I'm just going to add some like chords, like kind of like I do in the Ian Dior piano melody type stuff, where there's like a chord here and it's heavily strummed. I think that might sound cool in halftime as well. Just do something. So now we're going to throw those back down and then just randomize those chords, and then we'll randomize like the whole thing at the end. And then since this part is already put up an octave, I might just take the top halves of those chords and then bring them over. That actually works pretty well because this F sharp is like the bottom note of it, but that's already in the melody because it's down here and this got pitched up. Yep, so that's going to be pretty much it for this melody, and then we can pitch it up. And then throw some quick effects on it. So I'm probably just going to do a tape cassette and then halftime, just so it like sounds nice, like dark wobbly. And then like I mentioned before, I threw halftime on it. One bar was a little bit too slow, so I did half, and then I turned the mix down to 80, so you still get a little bit of those like high end notes, so it sounds like this. And then I think I'm just gonna throw chorus, low cut, and then imager, just to make it sound a little bit like more fake, I guess. Alright, so now we have those effects that I mentioned before on. It just sounds a little different, not much of a change, but now we're going to render this out, because I think this might sound cool reversed, but anyways, I would just like to render it out. I just prefer it that way. So now that we have this in here, I'm just going to check how it sounds reversed. Okay, so I like that, but it's like not good for the entire melody. So I'm just going to make this part unique and then chop it up. But the weird thing, we don't really have to worry about like where the bass note changes because it's the same bass note the whole time. So that doesn't really matter, like making sure the chord progression is the same. So I'm just going to chop it there and it'll work. And then push that up an octave. And then route these both to the mixer. Put this on 5 and then this on 6. And then on this, we want to put reverb and then old telephone EQ. Whenever I use this, I just like to bring 5 down just a little bit. And then for whatever reason, when I work with like audio clips and stuff, I just like to name it just so it's easier to keep track of stuff. Because usually when I end up like doing audio clips, there's just a lot of different layers. So I'm gonna name this piano and then high piano. Pretty self-explanatory. All right, so I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea where to go from here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open up a BBC Symphony Orchestra and maybe grab like a string for the bass. So I'm just gonna grab basses. And then maybe I'll use this instead of like a sub bass for the intro. I guess that works. I don't really know. I'm just gonna open it up again because I want this to feel orchestral. Grab a violin and then put it up here, copy the same piano pattern. Alright, so now we can kind of get a little weird with it. I don't know if this is weird, but it's kind of weird for me because I wouldn't normally do this. But I'm just going to put it on the same mixer one because it already has all the effects I would have put on it. But we're going to go ahead and turn off halftime. So now we can go ahead and render that out. And then I think I want to throw this in Slicer and then just kind of make a cool pattern. And then maybe throw Shaper Box with like a volume like sidechain. I think that might sound kind of interesting. Not really sure though. And then what I remember from using Slicer is you want to do like beat. And then you can just mess around with this and kind of find something that sounds cool. So I guess that'll work. I don't know how this will sound with the piano. Alright, so I think I changed my mind about the bass. I'm going to end up adding probably the big fatty just to kind of play that one note. And it'll be really subtle, but it will fill up a lot of low end because it just feels really empty right now. And then we can go back and add probably like 2 more layers. I don't really want to make it like super duper complex. One reason, I don't know what I'm doing, and second reason, I think drill drums like take up a lot of space and you need a lot of room for them. Not really sure about the second one, but that kind of makes sense in my head. Then we can just go ahead and render that out. So it's really repetitive, and I kind of don't want it to be that repetitive. So maybe find a sound in Omnisphere that's like a texture almost. I know there's like a playable textures folder in here. That might sound pretty cool. Bro, I'm so dumb. Drill beats have choirs in them. All right. Alright, so again, that's super repetitive, but I have a master plan. I'm just gonna throw a bunch of like ambience on it, and then again like a radio EQ or old telephone EQ. Alright, so I think I have kind of a better direction for this melody now. So I'm gonna grab some one shots, probably like, alright, so now we can grab that one shot that I was talking about. It's in Flowers, and then it's the softy one, this one. And then whenever you do these kind of things with like the slide notes, you got to turn it on like an 808 pretty much, where you just turn the hold all the way up and keep everything else down. So like things like this, the note was sustaining longer and it was connecting with this slide note. So it's just kind of wacky, so now it'll just sound a little bit cleaner. Yeah, so then we can duplicate this over, maybe push this down, and then bring this up to here. Basically just like transitioning it. Yeah, so I ended up deleting that like fast string. I probably won't show it in the video just because it'll waste time. But I added like the repetitive string that I did in the ethnic guitar video. But I'm just gonna find a different one shot, probably a string one shot, and then just kind of figure something out. Do something real simple like this. Alright, so this is a very odd melody. This is never something I would normally make. It's like super, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, never done this before. Like, I did drill drums once, but I like did it on a hyperpop loop, I think. I just want to know what it would sound like. But I've never made like a melody before. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this and then let you know what I do in a second. Alright, so I just finished the mixing and I think it sounds a little better now. Mainly because whenever I use my headphones, I always make the melody super quiet, so I went ahead and boosted it up. Then everything came together a little bit. Still not one of my favorite melodies I've done, but it's decent. So on the piano, I just have low cut and imager, make it feel wide. On the high piano, I just added another instance of tape cassette to make it feel just a little bit more wobbly, and I already showed the other stuff. On the strings, I already showed pretty much all of this. I just added reverb and imager. On the choir, I just added pancake on the larger preset. Then on the bass string, I just added chorus and then this to boost it, so it was really quiet even when it was like up here. And then it also cuts out the like low end of it, but it still sounds like a bass, so it's okay. Then on the softy bell, of course, through the ping pong delay, and I turned the time knob up to here. And then I went ahead and put a phaser on the Aqua Nice preset. Just one of my favorite presets. It's so good. And then on the stout string, I went ahead and made this more of like a background sound. So I went ahead and put a stupid amount of reverb on it. The decay is so high. And then it pretty much just sits in the background. So I cut the lows and then boosted the highs because that's really what I wanted to hear from this. And then again, added pancake on the larger preset. And then on the bass, I just added temper, which is just a free distortion plugin. It's just, I prefer it a little bit more than like Fruity Fast Distort or Blood Overdrive. And then last thing, added gross beat, 1 beat gate, but I turned it down to 25%. So the bass just kind of pulses a little bit. Just makes it a little bit more interesting. Not a big difference. So yeah, now we can go ahead and lay this out. And I'm probably going to skip the majority of this just because I honestly don't know my process behind this. I just kind of take things in and out. So it's not really worth showing. That is just a bunch of trial and error. Alright, so now that's all nice and rendered out. Went ahead and turned off the ambience. I always like to normalize it and then put the volume knob to here. And then, like I said earlier, I'm going to try pitching it up one. And then I also want to mess with the BPM just a touch. I want to speed it up. Alright, yeah, and then I went ahead and put the BPM up to 148, so that's up 5. I believe we were at like 144 or 143 before. Switched it a little bit quicker. And I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then we can go ahead and struggle right on through the drums. It's going to be rough. I have no idea how to make the slidey 808s, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. Alright, yeah, so that's gonna be pretty much it for the video. That was my first time making a drill beat, I guess. I don't really know. It came out decent. I think the drums came out better than the melody, though. For sure. Surprised that they came out that way, because, I don't know. But, yeah, that's it. Have a nice day. Here's the final beat with, like, risers and stuff.